John Wayne Gacy, a man accused of 33 murders and sexual assaults against women and children, had a life that tragically led him down this dark path. In this video, we'll take a look at his life. Gacy was born in Chicago, Illinois, on March 17, 1942. He was the second of 3 children and the only son of John Stanley Gacy and Marion Elaine Robinson. His father was an auto repair machinist and a World War I veteran, while his mother was a homemaker. Gacy was of Polish and Danish descent, and his family was Catholic. He was close to his mother and 2 sisters, but had a difficult relationship with his father, who was an alcoholic and verbally and physically abusive towards the family. Gacy's father often belittled him, calling him stupid and dumb, and unfavorably compared him to his sisters. Gacy was an overweight and non-athletic child. Due to a heart condition, he was advised to avoid any school sports. In the 4th grade, Gacy began experiencing fainting spells. He was hospitalized several times for these episodes and also in 1957 due to a burst appendix. Gacy later estimated that between the ages of 14 and 18, he spent nearly a year in the hospital. Gacy's first known murder occurred on January 3, 1972. According to Gacy's later account, after a family party on the evening of January 2nd, he decided to visit a civic center in the Loop to view an ice sculpture display in the early hours of the following morning. He then lured a 16-year-old boy named Timothy Jack McCoy from the Greyhound bus terminal in Chicago into his car. McCoy was traveling from Michigan to Nebraska. Gacy took McCoy on a sightseeing tour of Chicago and then brought him to his home, promising him that he could spend the night and that Gacy would take him back to the station in time to catch his bus. Gacy claimed that early the next morning, he woke up to find McCoy standing in the doorway of his bedroom holding a kitchen knife. Gacy, startled by the sight, attacked McCoy. McCoy raised both hands in a gesture of surrender, tilting the knife upwards, which accidentally cut Gacy's forearm. After a struggle, Gacy managed to overpower McCoy, pinning him to the ground, and then fatally stabbed him in the chest. As McCoy lay dying, Gacy claimed he washed the knife in the bathroom, then went to his kitchen, where he saw an open carton of eggs and an unopened package of bacon on the kitchen table. McCoy had also set the table for 2. He had gone to Gacy's room to wake him up, but Gacy, interpreting the situation differently, had other ideas. Gacy buried McCoy in the crawl space of his home and later covered the grave with a layer of concrete. In an interview several years after his arrest, Gacy stated that immediately after killing McCoy, he felt totally drained, but noted that while he was stabbing McCoy and listening to his gurgles and gasps, he experienced a mind-numbing orgasm. He added, "That's when I realized that death was the ultimate thrill."
The clowning was relaxation for me. I enjoyed entertaining kids. Like some people are, they unwind in different ways, either by going out drinking or that. I could put on clown makeup and I was relaxed. And I enjoyed doing it. It was only twice a month that I did it.
Yeah, this was not used for a lure to draw kids to you
No, we would visit different hospitals and entertain the children there. And we didn't entertain them with handcuffs or anything like that. All we used was balloon animals and small toys and stuff like that. But we also did parades. And in the summertime, like on 4th of July, I used to be in 4 parades in one day. I've always told people when I got into clown makeup, I regressed into childhood. It was fun being a clown because you could be yourself or just let yourself go and act a fool. You could be slapstick and funny and have a good time. That's why I always enjoyed clowning. Clowning has taken a bad name because of what they've used in my case.
Gacy said that the second time he committed murder was around January 1974. This victim has remained unidentified. Gacy strangled him and then placed the body in his closet before burying it. He later stated that bodily fluids leaked from the victim's mouth and nose, staining his carpet. As a result, Gacy routinely stuffed cloth rags, the victim's own underwear, or a sock into the mouths of subsequent victims to prevent this leakage from happening again. On July 31, 1975, John Butkovich, an 18-year-old PDM employee from Lombard, went missing. Butkovich's car was found parked at the corner of Sheridan and Lawrence, with his jacket and wallet inside and the keys still in the ignition. The day before his disappearance, Butkovich had confronted Gacy over 2 weeks of overdue pay. Butkovich's father, a Yugoslavian immigrant, called Gacy, who claimed he was happy to help search for his son but regretted that Butkovich had run away. When questioned by the police, Gacy said that Butkovich and 2 friends had come to his house demanding their back pay, but they reached a compromise and all 3 left. Over the next 3 years, Butkovich's parents contacted the police over 100 times, urging them to investigate Gacy further. Gacy later confessed that he had encountered Butkovich as he was leaving his car on the corner of West Lawrence Avenue, waved him over, and told him, "I want to talk to you." Gacy invited Butkovich into his car and then to his home, supposedly to resolve the issue of his unpaid wages. Gacy admitted that 1975 was not only a year when his business expanded, but also when he began increasing the frequency of his trips to pick up young men for sex. He often referred to these outings as cruising. Gacy committed most of his murders between 1976 and 1978, as he lived mostly alone after his divorce. He later referred to these years as his cruising years. Through his membership in a local moose club, Gacy became aware of a Jolly Joker clown club, whose members regularly performed at fundraising events and parades in addition to voluntarily entertaining hospitalized children. In late 1975, Gacy joined the clown club and created his own characters Pogo the Clown and Patches the Clown, devising his own makeup and costumes. He described Pogo as a happy clown, whereas Patches was a more serious character. Gacy seldom earned money for his performances and later said that acting as a clown allowed him to regress into childhood. He performed as both Pogo and Patches at numerous local parties, political functions, charitable events, and children's hospitals. Gacy's voluntary public service as a clown throughout the years of his murders led to him being known as the Killer Clown. On the afternoon of December 11, 1978, Gacy visited the Nissan pharmacy in Des Plaines to discuss a potential remodeling deal with the store owner, Phil Torf. While he was within earshot of 15-year-old part-time employee Robert Piest, Gacy mentioned his firm often hired teenage boys at a starting wage of $5 per hour, almost double the pay Piest earned at the pharmacy. Shortly after Gacy left, Piest's mother arrived at the store to drive her son home so the family could celebrate her birthday together. Piest asked his mother to wait, adding that "Some contractor wants to talk to me about a job." He left the store at 9 p.m., promising to return shortly. Piest was murdered shortly after 10 p.m. at Gacy's home. Gacy later stated that at his house, he gave Piest a soft drink before asking whether there was anything he wouldn't do for the right price, to which Piest replied that he did not mind working hard. In response, Gacy stated good money could be earned by hustling, although Piest was dismissive. Gacy then duped Piest into donning handcuffs. Gacy's subsequent statements regarding the events varied, although in one of his initial statements, he claimed Piest failed to resist as he removed the boy's trousers. He also stated that as he placed the rope around Piest's neck, the boy was crying, scared. Gacy admitted to having received a phone call from a business acquaintance as Piest lay dying. When Piest didn't return, his worried family reported him missing to the Des Plaines police. The contractor Piest was last seen with, according to a store employee named Torf, was John Gacy. Lieutenant Joseph Kozenzak, whose son also attended the same school as Piest, decided to dig deeper into Gacy's background. He discovered that Gacy had a criminal history, including an outstanding battery charge in Chicago and a previous imprisonment in Iowa for sexually assaulting a 15-year-old boy. The following evening, Kozenzak, along with 2 other Des Plaines officers, visited Gacy at his home. Gacy claimed that he had briefly spoken to a youth at the pharmacy, whom he thought might have been Pius, about remodeling materials but denied offering him a job. He promised to come to the police station later to give a statement but delayed, citing a family member's death. When asked how soon he could come, Gacy became defensive, accusing the officers of being disrespectful. Gacy eventually showed up at the police station at 3:20 a.m., covered in mud, and claimed he had been in a car accident. During subsequent questioning, Gacy denied any involvement in Pius' disappearance and repeated that he had not offered Pius a job. He explained that he had only returned to the pharmacy to retrieve his appointment book after receiving a call from Torf, who later denied making the call. Gacy then provided a written statement detailing his whereabouts on December 11th. On December 13th, police obtained a search warrant for Gacy's home, suspecting he might be holding Pius there. The search uncovered several suspicious items, including police badges, a starter pistol, handcuffs, books on homosexuality and pederasty, pornographic films, and various drugs. They also found a class ring with the initials JAS, a pharmacy photo receipt, and a section of nylon rope. Gacy's home was now under intense police surveillance. As the investigation continued, Gacy's behavior became increasingly erratic. He engaged in conversations with the surveillance detectives, sometimes even inviting them to meals. However, he also accused them of harassment and began to flaunt traffic laws, seemingly trying to evade them. By December 18th, the constant surveillance was visibly affecting Gacy. He appeared disheveled and anxious, drinking heavily and beginning to crack under the pressure. The following day, after learning that investigators were building a case for a second search warrant, Gacy went to his lawyer's office, where he started to confess to a series of murders. Gacy admitted to killing at least 30 young men, many of whom he had buried in his crawl space. Following his confession, police obtained a second search warrant and returned to Gacy's home. There, they uncovered human remains in the crawl space, leading to Gacy's arrest and his eventual trial for the murder of 33 people. Despite his defense team's attempts to plead insanity, Gacy was found guilty and sentenced to death. Gacy took the lives of more than 30 people during his lifetime and leaving many families in mourning. In your opinion, what factors contribute to the emergence of such individuals in society?